welcome to episode 21. Today we're going to pivot a little bit and go back to some real practical tips on mothering, and we're going to be specifically talking about a good bedtime routine to help your kids get ready for bed and winding down after a busy day. So turn it over to Mom today.
All right. Well, let me tell you, mothers know that sometimes after long days are full of difficulties and discipline and trying to do child training, sometimes bedtimes can be pretty difficult because you're tired and the children are not feeling like they really want to go to bed, and they have all these quote-unquote needs that they're trying to call you back in for. Like, Mommy, I'm thirsty, or one of them, if they're sharing a room, might say, Mommy, he said something mean to me. And you just would love to have a time to spend with your husband. And so many times your evenings together are punctuated by the little children, and sometimes not so little children. So we finally came up with the 4 bedtime rules. Change into your PJs was the first. Brush your teeth was the second. Get a sip of water was the third. And the last was make your last bathroom visit. So that kind of got those things done, and we said, this is your chance to do it, and so do it now. And then we wanted the bedtimes to be a time setting the stage for a good night. And so we would do some bonding activities. One is that we regularly read biographies to our children. Biographies are a wonderful way to introduce children before they have formal history lessons, to introduce children to different parts of history when life was different and there were simpler times, or maybe sometimes more complex times for the individuals to live. And so that prepares them to have a historical context that eventually they can weave together when they're doing their formal teaching later about history and what it was like in the past. Also, we found there, I don't know if they're still being published, but there was a series called Childhood of Famous Americans. And there were inventors, Supreme Court justices, presidents, entrepreneurs, just some wonderful stories. But the nice thing about this series is it put a good deal of time on the childhood, so the children could kind of identify that this person was a child like them, and then they went on to do something important or helpful. So that was a good series. If you can find those on a library sale or online, I would encourage you investing in that. Also, we read several times over the different ages and stages with our children the Children's Pilgrim Progress. It was very helpful for them. It kind of gave an allegory way of looking at the Christian life. And so many times it just helped our children understand things when people acted a certain way, or fell into sin, or didn't remain faithful. So that was a helpful thing, just to kind of set a stage for them. Oh, there was Doubting Castle and the Key of Promise, and so many allegorical things that help them to understand the scriptures. So those are some things that we used. And then missionary biographies. Find good missionary biographies written for the level of your age children and enjoy reading to them. My daughter Michelle said a big part of her being open to marrying a missionary was growing up with those biographies. Then I also, we would alternate with some fun things, and I was asking Christy if she would tell about the fun thing that my husband did with the kids.
Yes, and when you're looking forward to bedtime, it's a lot easier to jump into bed. So I think that was a catalyst for us to look forward to those times. But my dad loved history, and he started a story time with us before bed on the Oregon Trail. But he would put our names in, and we were the different characters in the story, and so we were all wrapped up in it. And he would talk about, the Indians attacked, and so we had to circle the wagons, and Tim grabbed the gun, and Aaron, took care of the horses, and he just kind of brought us into the drama, and that was so fun. He did that for I don't know how many years, but it was a regular part of our childhood. Before bedtime, doing those story times. So, yeah, fun.
And then there was a time, I don't know why I started it, but I would start making up these Wally stories about a little toddler that would climb out of his crib at night and go and have these great adventures, and then he'd somehow get home and go in, and the family never knew about it. So they just enjoyed the Wally stories. It's not all serious at bedtime. Have these fun adventures too. Another thing that we would do is we would quote passages of scripture that we had learned together. And you'll notice with our After Breakfast 5 in a previous episode that we learned a lot of scripture passages. And so it was fun for the kids to be able to review those and quote together these passages. And also in the evening with prayer, give the kids a chance to share their fears and their concerns and pray about these. Also give thanks to God for what He had done and provided and how He kept them safe that day. And also, Ephesians 4:26 and 27 talks about not letting the sun go down on your anger. And so if there was something that was a block between one of them and the other sibling, or between them and a friend, counsel them not to let that anger marinate overnight, because the next verse talks about that it would give Satan an advantage. He would be able to mark some territory in your heart if you were unforgiving there. Pray for missionaries, family members, friends, people that are sick and that the children know, and just let them personalize, bring up requests, and take them seriously. A child is the Lord said to let the little children come unto me and prevent them not. So let them come and pray themselves and to share their requests. And so those are just some tips we came to after trying our best to get bedtime a reasonably peaceful time. And then once all of this is done and the children are ready to go to bed, then it's quiet in the bunkhouse. We had 5 boys in one room for a while, so of course the older boys didn't go to bed at the same time as the younger ones, but let them have a nice memory. And when they go to bed, what you have on your heart and mind when the last thing you do when you go to bed, if it's scripture, if it's prayer, if it's history and biographies of great examples, that's good, because that is the thing that they can wake up with and have a good memory and a good start to the next day. Well, since we kind of didn't do what we were saying last week that we're going to do next week, I think we'll just have to surprise you, and we'll let you know.
Yeah, next week will be surprise lessons, so
yes.
Stay tuned for that.
Okay, and I feel for all of you. I know, especially if you have toddlers and babies, bedtime can be a challenge, but have hope. It does get easier in time, and pretty soon you're going to get to have it be a bonding time with lots of fun memories.
Okay. Thanks again for tuning in to our YouTube channel, and I hope to see you guys next time.
So long.
Bye.